What's up everyone, this is Keala from Organized and Creative. Today we're covering the centerpieces that I've done for our household during this holiday season, and this is part one of a two-part series. This week we'll be covering the fall versions of these centerpieces, and then next week we'll be covering the Christmas winter versions of these centerpieces. They've been really fun to do. I did the centerpieces for mine and Nicole's wedding, and just being able to add them to our house for fun for the season has just been, well, fun. So without further ado, let's just get right into these centerpieces. So first up is my container. I have a tiny salad bowl that I got from the Dollar Tree. It's made of a thick plastic, perfect for this. Next, I need something that's going to house my tea light, so I'm going to take the cap off of this container and we'll use it. Now, keeping in mind fitting everything, measuring twice, cutting once, super important. That way you don't have to redo or fix things as you go. Next up, I'm just gonna hot glue the top end of this cap. It has a large enough surface area that it lets me put this dead center, and it's sturdy, it won't be going anywhere. Alright, so next we're going to add in our fall leaves. We got these from Joann Fabrics. They had a decent enough texture. They didn't feel super papery. Just a note, they do make this thing called Real Touch leaves. That would probably be way more fun to interact with, so you can use those if you find them. We're using an assortment here. And now we're going to just add in some river rocks. I got these black ones from the Dollar Tree. They're just going to be used to help us glue the leaves so that they're not deep in the bowl, but they help to kind of form a wreath around the tea light. So I used a cross pattern here. You don't have to do that. I just have a thing with symmetry. So now I'm going to layer up. So we're going to use the dark leaves first, and I have 4 dark leaves to go on top of each of the river rocks. And it's always important to layer up the colors, so dark layers first and then start to build up lighter layers. I've built several of these already, so I realized it's better to put in the pine cones. That adds in some fall elements, and to put it down first before I add in the rest of the leaves. That way I'm not lifting up leaves to put them in. You can certainly put them in after, but I chose to put it in first. And I'm not gluing these. These will just kind of rest there. It should be fine. Next comes the orange leaves. And I'm actually going to glue these right onto the lid of the container, right on top of where the pine cones are. So where each pine cone is will help give an idea of where to put the darker orange leaves. And then now I'm just gonna layer in the yellow leaves. And I'm really aiming to have the yellow leaves kind of draw your attention away from the center. Next, I'm just gonna put the tea light in to measure out if I see any existing areas of the blue lid. And I'm gonna cover those with the river rocks that I have. And then I'll just put the light in and finish off the top part of this with some of the berries that came with the leaves and a pine cone. It just adds another layer and depth. Totally not required, but it was fun to do, so really liked it. Next, I'm gonna address the bowl. Now I'm using a mesh ribbon that you can find in the area that the leaves would be in the craft store. And this is just gonna add a more earthy texture and natural tone to the centerpiece. Fall doesn't really have that kind of crystal watery color to it, and so this is going to help to layer that up. And that's the centerpiece. For our main centerpiece, we're going to use a tree light that we got from Hobby Lobby in place of a tea light, and we're just going to use some styrofoam to help secure the branches at the bottom. This particular tree light has a nice spread in the branches, so it can make a more dynamic centerpiece. And then for the magic of this setup, we're going to take a green washcloth and some river rocks, and we're going to go ahead and create a temporary bag for us to be able to transport this tree light. I want to be able to use it in multiple centerpieces over the course of the year. So it's nice to use a green washcloth. It helps to resemble the foliage. And then the river rocks add some weight to the bag. And we're just going to wrap the washcloth around itself so that it can tuck in really nicely and make the makeshift bag. So we could use this as is to dress up. We're actually going to put it in a vase, but it came out really nice. It works really easy in a pinch. And here we're just putting it in the vase. And I'm going to actually put the lighting so that I can access the switch pretty easily. And this is what I'm talking about the spread of the branches. So you can manipulate this now in any way if you really want the spread. Now we're just going to dress it up the way that we did our previous centerpiece. We'll add in some of the darker leaves and then build up the color from there. We'll also add in some river rocks for some stability. And you could have used some pine. I could have used some pine cones. I chose not to. And then I'll actually use the leaves to cover the electronics so that you can't really see it. But that's the build. We wanted something to lift the centerpiece up. So this is a drawer insert that you can get for silverware. We're going to use the top parts of this to display our centerpieces. And there you go. This was really fun to do. We've actually dressed it up differently for our tables, but you could do it this way. And yeah, now for a bonus, we're going to actually turn the inside of this and just fill this out as a possible centerpiece that you can do. We're just going to put some river rocks, lay out some of the leaves, same thing, starting with the darker colors first and then building up with lighter layers there. These don't have to be that complicated. You could literally do anything that you wanted. But the important parts is that the containment with using this silverware box, this drawer insert, it really helps to create kind of a shelf to contain the design, and then you can kind of just go nuts. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff in there, trying to set it up nicely, but you know, if I move it, it won't necessarily stay. Just adding in some pine cone elements. I would have been fine with just this. I wish I had kind of thought of it before we went through all the work of doing the other ones, but hey, that's kind of the joy of figuring out stuff. So here you go. This is the final optional centerpiece idea. This was a bit of a bonus. We kind of did it while we were filming this video. So yeah, hopefully this has inspired you to set up your own centerpieces if you've never done this before, or to add elements and aspects to some centerpieces that you already have. We'll be doing creative videos every Mondays and organization videos every Thursdays. So don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe so that you're up to date when we release future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next videos on Organized and Creative.